Welcome, welcome everyone to this tree story. I'm Dr. Stephen Hobbs. I am with the WELLth movement, and the Right for Shade movement is something that we are promoting. We're encouraging parents and grandparents to get involved with their children and their grandchildren with trees around the world. And I'm asking people to share stories that they connect with trees. And it's very much about asking a question and seeing where we go with it. It's not so much about a conversation as it is just to hear the story, the tree story. So, Indra, you have come to know trees in a very fantastic way. So, can you just share how you came to know the trees, and then to a point where maybe you share a very specific tree in your life?
Well, I began to know trees when I was young, when I was at school, really. That was my connection, first of all, with a beautiful cedar tree that I used to sit under at school and read my books. Unfortunately, now she's been hit by lightning and there's nothing left, but she used to have a canopy that just used to, it was so big, I couldn't even tell you how large this canopy was, but it was dark underneath the tree. And I always remember feeling very, very protected by her in particular. And then there was the beautiful pear tree that we had at home that my dad used to climb every autumn and pick the pears and climb to the top and throw them down. We all used to hold a huge blanket as a family underneath, grab the edges, and my dad used to throw down the pears from the tree. And there used to be just tons and tons and tons of fruit off this tree. And I think those were the two trees in my childhood that I really connected with, that to a point now where they're very, if you say to me trees, I think of those two from my childhood. But I have one particular one now that I really connect with because it's very special to me, and it's very close to my house. Shall I talk to you about that a little bit more?
That'd be great. Thank you.
So this particular tree is a pine tree, and it looks very much like a question mark or a dancer. I'm going to share a photo with you. And I don't actually know if the history of this tree and whether it's been hit by lightning or what it is, but I've sat with this tree numerous times. And as you know, I work with flower essences and I create tree essences. And when you create essences, you wait till you're told by the energy that you're working with, whether that be a tree or a flower, that it's okay to work with you, because you don't want to work with something that doesn't want to share their energy. So for about 3 years, I sat with this tree in a place near my house, which is just heading into a beautiful pine wood. And I sat with this tree, and I would say, and I'd never get any idea that it wanted to work with me at all. But it was happy for me to sit there next to it, and shaped like a question mark, and almost as well like the dancer pose in yoga. There's a yoga pose called dancer, and it kind of looks like that as well. And of course, I was a dancer, so I could relate to it. But a very strange looking tree, and I'd sit there and I meditate there for hours and hours, and I felt very strongly that it was connected to the energy of the fairies, and I called my essence actually Fairy Portal. And it wasn't till I went there after my dad's death, which was on the 20th of June in 2013, and I sat with the tree, and it basically said to me, okay, I'm ready now, you can make me. And I knew that this connection was with my dad. I just knew it was time. And that has been one of my most popular tree essences, has been the pine. And what that tree taught me through the energy and working with it, and I did it through summer solstice, so it was that time of year. So it was the time where that we start to sort of move into the darkness from the 20th, 21st of June. And the energy of the pine tree was very much about feeling confidence in the self to go down your path without feeling the guilt of what other people have to say to you. So it's kind of like people telling you what to do. No, you need to stick to your personal path. This is what you need to do. You need to persevere, but you need to stay on your path, and you need to do what's energetically right for you without having to take on what other people are telling you what to do. So there's a big listening aspect as well to that essence as well, because I had to sit with it for a long time and listen to it and know when I needed to, or when I was allowed to make that particular essence. So it's been a very powerful essence for people who feel that they've been pulled around by others, and it's just wonderful. I take it regularly.
So in terms of the essence, and you speak about working with the essence of the tree. Can you just briefly explain what that might be? Because you've talked about sitting with the tree. Many people understand that, but you're also working with the tree or working from the tree in this thing called tree essence. Can you just share that?
Yeah. So when I create, a berry portal or pine was created by moonlight. So I actually work with the energy of the moon while I'm creating the essence, and I work with whatever the tree wants to give to me. So whether it be a pine cone, whether it be the bark, whatever it is that the tree wants to hand to me at that time, and I will work with the water energy, with the energy of the water, with whatever it is that the tree gives me. In this particular occasion, it was the pine cone, and I place it there, and I use the full moon or the new moon to create that particular essence and channel the energy from the tree through me into the water, and spend many hours working with that energy beneath the tree, so beneath the actual tree itself. So I don't do it at home, I do it with the tree in the woods. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it's just to give the imagery, the sense of what's happening. And I'll provide a link to the website, and people can visit and see a little bit more and read a little bit more about what it is that you do. But the notion of meditation under the tree, hugging a tree, and then tree essence, it's kind of a neat story.
It was a long process because it was a number of years before I knew that I had permission to work with it. There's something about trees for me is that you honor all of nature, but to me, trees, they're majestic and they need to be looked after. They're the lungs of the planet. I always see them as the lungs of the planet. And I think that when a tree has a message for you, you need to listen. So if a tree is saying, no, it's not the right time, I'll listen to the tree, and I won't go ahead until I know it says go and you're ready. Because these essences are very powerful. So if you're taking something it's like picking a flower and not asking the flower if it can be picked, It's just picking a flower out of the ground. You don't pick flowers out of the ground. It's the wrong thing to do. You ask first, and the flower will tell you yes or no. You never make an essence from a flower that's been picked just like that. I'm very strong, very strong about that. So the trees are the same, I'll offer you whatever it is that you want to take from this tree, but I'll do it in my time. And so the energy of nature is very much like that. And I've used this essence a lot with children as well. Because children hold that energy of feeling guilty and having issues with siblings, and there's been a lot of that. A lot of that energy came up when I created the essence itself, was my own internal stuff with what had gone on with my father, and all that was coming through with the tree, and it was just a magical experience. And I've actually made it twice now, and I always make it at summer solstice, so I'll be making it again this year in a month.
One of the other things I would ask you is, how has your involvement with trees as a parent informed your children?
Well, I used to have an allotment years and years ago, and I used to grow my own vegetables and my fruit and everything. So there was always a big connection with nature, and there was always a connection with the woodland and walking through nature. So there's a deep respect for listening and just honoring the tree energy. And of course, you know, although as a mum I'll hug a tree, although they have the respect and the love for nature, unlike me, they don't hug them. They don't hug the trees, not at 14. You can't do that in front of your friends. But you know, the trees are there to be hugged if you want to hug them. But I think at 14, that's kind of pushing it at the moment. But definitely in honor of nature and walking in woods, and just an acceptance of, you know, this is where we're from, and this is what we honor and nurture around us. And of course my children do take everything that I create, so when they're
Okay. So then, as a final note, what short story would you want to share about trees?
Oh, well, I would say it's to really, as a family, to honor all the trees that are around you, and to go out together and be part of the woodland, and be part of wherever there are trees growing. It's just to share in the experience with each other, to make a point of bringing the trees into your life. So whether that be just having a picnic under a tree, or, you know, sitting by a tree and reading a book, or coming together as a collective, as a community, but using the trees as part of your life and having them there around you and honoring them. It's the honoring for me. That's kind of the ritual that I want to offer, is that honor them in that form, have them there as a part of your daily life, and use them for that. Because I think if you start to actually honor the trees and and use them as part of your daily life, you start to listen and you start to hear them. If you don't spend time with them, then you can't hear them so much. So be there with them, spend time amongst them. And it doesn't matter what age you are. Once you connect with the tree, you'll start to hear, and you'll start to listen to what it has to tell you, especially as you watch them through the seasons as they change. So that's kind of what I would like to offer, is that you go there, create your own rituals with the trees, be there with them regularly, and start to listen.